Yo, what up? It's JSF, and it's finally here. The DNF Duel Open Beta. It was actually here last night, but most of us didn't really get to play it because the servers were down and there were just a lot of bugs and issues. But we got to play against the AI a little bit last night, and then today we got our first full day of being able to play the game. So I've played a decent amount, a good amount of matches, and got a good feel playing all kinds of characters when the servers were down because they made you random select against the AI. So I wanted to just point out 5 things I think you should know about the game if you're getting into the game or if you want to try it and check it out. Just a couple of things to kind of let you know if you're half interested, half not interested, or if you're very interested and just want a little bit of background. So first thing I want to talk about is the netcode. This is the most important thing to some people. To some people, this is the end-all be-all. To some people, it matters, but not that much. Some people don't care, but I think it's really important for like the life of the game and just enjoying the game in general. The netcode is amazing. The netcode in this game it's just, I don't know what else I gotta say. It's the pretty much now patented Arxis netcode. Apparently, Blaze Blue has really good rollback netcode. We know Guilty Gear Strive has really good rollback netcode, and this game has really good rollback netcode. This ain't KOF rollback, this ain't Melty Blood rollback. This is really well implemented rollback netcode. This ain't the Street Fighter 5, this ain't the Mortal Kombat 11. This is amazing. I've played, let's say, 20 plus, let's say around 30-ish matches online against at least 10 different players, at least, right? And I know that's not a ton of matches and a ton of different players, but in all those matches, I have not had one laggy match. Not even one. Not even one. Most of them have like 0 to 2 rollback frames or whatever, but even the ones that have 3, 4 rollback frames that it shows, not laggy at all, no input delay. I really have not had any lag issues whatsoever, which is kind of crazy because even though that's not a ton of matches online, my first 20 matches in Street Fighter, I felt lag. My first 20 matches in Mortal Kombat, I felt lag. The same with basically every other fighting game except Guilty Gear, right? So the netcode is amazing. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I think that's really important before we even get into gameplay things. Now, the first thing I want to talk about that's gameplay related, which I just thought was really weird when I found it out, when I saw it happen, is that the supers in this game are not invincible. Now, this game has super moves like any other fighting game has a cinematic super move, whatever you want to call it. It's like an awakening skill or something. But the interesting thing about the supers is they're not invincible at all. So you cannot wake up super in this game. You can't do it. It's not. You can do it, but you'll get hit. You can get grabbed. You can get hit. All of it's happening, right? But the thing is, the supers in this game don't cost meter. Now, you don't get to do the super again if you fail. If you miss it, you miss it. This ain't MK11, right? If you miss the super, you miss the super. It's not invincible, but it does not cost any meter. You only get it when you have full meter, I believe 200 meter, and I think your health has to be at a certain level too. And then you have access to your super, right? So it doesn't cost any meter, and it's done with one button. So you just press, I'm playing on a PS5 pad, so you just press L2, whatever button you have it mapped to, boom, that's how you do a super. I'm totally okay with all that. It's just weird. Super not being invincible is super weird, but there's a reason the super is not invincible, which is the next thing I want to talk about, and that is reversals, DPs. Every character in this game has a DP. Every character. Well, technically except one. There's one character that I've noticed that doesn't really have a DP, but he has a move that functions the same way. That's the Grappler. He has like a counter, basically. So if he goes into his counter, basically a parry, a counter, but it's a grab. So if he goes into his counter stance and you hit him, you know, he grabs you, he does damage to you. So it's functionally the same thing. Every other character has an invincible reversal. That's something like an uppercut or some kind of rising upward move. Every character in this game has a DP. And because of the design of the game, they're all one button DPs, right? Because this game is button wise is designed like Grand Blue, in the sense that special moves and special moves that cost meter are done with a cardinal direction and a button. So down and medium, down and 2, whatever you want to call it, right? Down and B, you know, forward A, forward B, forward C, forward D, like whatever. So the special move to do your uppercut is always going to be down and, well, what is the button even called? Down and M? Like down in MP skill, right? Down S, down M, however you want to say it. But that's how you do everybody's DP. It's a one button DP. It costs meter to do, so you can't just do it forever. But if you got the meter, you can just keep doing it. I think honestly, The way it is right now, it needs to cost more meter, but I'm not mad at it. I actually kind of like every character having a DP. Some people are like, oh, it's too defensive. The game is kind of boring because it's too defensive. I like a game having defensive options. I like people having to think on offense. Some of the characters' DPs are really stupid. Like Hitman's DP is nonsense. But again, they vary from character to character. But they all have a move that does that, right? Just another important thing to know if you're going to play this game. Another thing that's interesting is there are character-specific mechanics. So there are universal mechanics in the game, right? Like, you know, you have supers, everybody can run, you have, you know, you have whatever the mechanics are. But there are some character-specific mechanics, like, for instance, Dragon Knight has an air dash. It's one of her skills, right? I think it costs MP, but in the air, she can hit a button and then she can air dash. She can float in the air, or she can forward dash, back dash in the air. Air dash, that's only her. This is not Guilty Gear. There's no air dashing in this game. There's no air blocking in this game either, by the way. So yeah, that's another interesting character-specific mechanic. Also for Striker, the fighter, the girl in the orange, she has reverse speed. She's honestly a Melty Blood character. If you played Melty Blood, whether the original or Type Lumina, that's the kind of character Striker is, in the sense that her buttons and her strings rebeat that way. Like you can do 2L, 5L. Like you can do low light, standing light, low medium, standing medium, into heavy. Like her mediums and heavies are jump cancelable. Like she has the most combo structure, the most just combo freedom. If you just want to do a bunch of crazy combos, she is the character you can pick. You should pick. She's got a bunch of cool stuff. Like I don't really like rushdown characters like that, but she's really fun to play. She's really, really fun just because you can do so much. You can do, like, she even has like a stubby heavy attack. She even has a stubby, well, it's not a heavy, it's a skill. Like, it's not called heavy in this game, but she has a move that's usually further down in the chain, right? Like light, medium, heavy. She has a stubby heavy button, so you can, like, it's designed to reverse speed. Like Shiki Tono in Melty Blood, if you end his block strings and like his 5L, so you can, it's just like that. Right, just so you can get back to neutral safely. So she's gonna have really good pressure when the game actually releases, just because of the way she's designed. So it's actually really, really cool. So yeah, there are some character-specific mechanics. I'm not gonna talk about every single specific character, but just if you play a character, you know, you might play a little different. Another thing that I find really, really interesting, and kind of just a small topic that I want to talk about, is that there's set play in this game. I say this because there are a few characters like Inquisitor, like Kunoichi, who have moves where they put shit on the screen, right? I say this all the time. They throw shit on the screen. So Kunoichi can throw out a big fire tornado and it just goes towards you. And it's on the screen for like 5 seconds, right? And Inquisitor can just put this giant wheel with spikes and fire on the screen. And it's on the screen for a minute, right? And as that's on the screen, they can move freely. They can run around, jump around, they can attack you, etc. They can't grab you because you're in Bloxa, but they can hit you. Now, there is set play, but I'm going to say there is kind of no mix. And the reason I say this is because there's no universal overhead in this game. And I haven't really, I mean, I think Crusader has an overhead, but I think most of the characters do not have overheads. So your best chance to get mixed in that type of situation is, so far, what I've been doing and what I can think of, is trying to just run up, get a jump, and then either do a late jump in or an empty low. Right, and just kind of try to make it as ambiguous as possible, but I think to a degree it's still going to be reactable, but that's as good as it's going to get. So the set play is cool. There is set play if you like that kind of play style, that kind of anime set play, etc., that Marvel Infinite set play type stuff. That exists to a degree, but it isn't as ridiculous because there really aren't overheads like that in this game, or I haven't found them. You know what I mean? I haven't really seen it. So yeah, and just kind of a bonus thing to want to throw in that I kind of touched on earlier is this game is very, very similar to Grand Blue in its design, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, in the sense of how you press buttons to play the game, how the special moves work, how the supers work. All that kind of stuff is really similar to Grand Blue. It's different because the characters are just so different. Grand Blue it's got some crazy stuff in it, but the characters are a lot more grounded in Grand Blue. In this game, a character can hit you from 70% of the screen away, and it ain't just one character. Like, there are a few characters that have really big, ridiculous buttons, whereas in Grand Blue, that was like one character. Like, Fairy was like Dawson, but everyone else was kind of like a normal range character. And this game is pretty different. So this game is kind of like a more fantastical version. You're going to see it compared to Grand Blue and Guilty Gear a lot. But I don't think that's a bad thing because I actually thought Grappler was a pretty solid game before they screwed it up with a bunch of patches. I thought it had the potential to be a really good game. The netcode was just awful. And I think Strive is a good game. I think the balance is just awful. So if this game ends up being somewhat balanced and we throw in some more cool characters, I think it'll be a really fun game to play. I enjoy it so far. That's another thing just to throw in there. But yeah, that's just 5. I guess you could say 6 things that I wanted to say about DNF Duel. That you should know if you're new to the game, if you want to get into the game, you haven't played it yet. Just some stuff to think about. I'll upload matches if anybody's interested. Probably talk about the game a little bit more because I'm going to be playing it a lot today and tomorrow. So yeah, that's about all I got for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If y'all did, like, leave a comment, sub, all that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Y'all stay safe. JSF, I'm outie. Peace.